we have here in the chamber today Ukrainian Canadian world veteran from the Second World War who fought the Ukrainian independence against the Russians and continues to support the troops today, even at his age of 98. His name is Yaroslav Hunka. And I was going to say he's in the gallery, but I think you beat me to that.
In this world today, we have several different types of lies. There are lies, there are damn lies, and there's Nazi revisionism. Interestingly enough, I want you to focus as they start to applaud Hunka Burnin Nazi. I'm sure you've all heard this already. But just so you know, just to be aware, this video captures two, at least, straight up fucking Nazis saluting each other. This one, Hunka Burnin Nazi, and this one, Jewish comedian, manufactured into president of Ukraine, a guy by the name of Voldemort Zelensky. And of course, Justin Trudeau is standing right beside him. This took place this weekend, and it got a lot of attention. A lot of attention online. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why it got so much attention online. And most importantly, we're going to talk about what I think are the reasons that this happened. Because, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, information on you and me is very easy to come by. It's the same in Ukraine. It's the same in... I'm going to ask fucking Gonzalo Lira, as he was trying to make his way to the goddamn border, laughing about that and joking about that. And they think I'm going to stick around for this goddamn trial. On my way to the border. How'd that work out? They have way too much information, way too much access to information, and that's the same in Canada as well. They knew who Hunka Burnin fucking Nazi was long before they had everybody in Parliament stand and applaud. Yeah. Hi. Today is Monday. It is the 25th day of September, 2023. It is bright and early, as you can see down there, 9:47 in the morning. This was brought to my attention by Aunt Bibi. I'll mention her again later because she did some research and found some stuff, and I wanted to share that with you. There should be no fucking surprise this happened. It is not an accident. I know what Canadian government's saying. I know what the Speaker of the fucking lower house of the Parliament, the House of Commons in the Parliament saying. He's taking it all on himself. Of course, he was ready to retire anyway. So, this is a message. We're sending a message. We're going to talk about this. And it's more important than most people will look at this and go, oh, who cares? He's a 98-year-old dude, you know. He served his country. He didn't serve his country. And when I say there's three types of lies, damn lies, and Nazi revisionism, that's what I'm talking about. It's not enough to simply say, they didn't know he was Waffen SS. They didn't know what 14th Grenadier Division did. They didn't know it was 1st Galatians. They didn't know exactly what the Waffen SS was doing in Ukraine. Fine, well and good. That's all well and good. What does the speaker say? Back in those days in 1943 to 1947, and whenever he was serving, he started in 43, by the way, which is important. He signed up in 43 with this division, which is important. Doesn't matter. Even if they didn't understand and know all of that, which of course they had to have. Even if they didn't, here's the Nazi fucking revisionism. He was fighting for Ukrainian independence against the Russians. First of all, it was the Soviet Union, not the Russians. Second of all, they weren't fighting for Ukrainian independence. That was Waffen SS. He was Waffen SS. He was fighting for the Third Reich, the Reich of 1,000 years. And he was fighting, there are several divisions, but he was 1st Galatians. There might have been, they said there were like 8,000 or something at the time in fucking Ukraine. Some were fighting on the front lines. Some were committing atrocities, were contributing to the Polish genocide, and were assisting with the Holocaust that took place in Ukraine. So when their brothers in arms are fighting the Soviets as they're trying to advance to end World War II and put a stop to things like the Holocaust and the fascist attempt to take over the fucking world, they weren't fighting for Ukrainian independence. They were quite literally fighting for Adolf Hitler, Hermann Himmler, Göring, and of course all the fucking banks from the United States and the United Kingdom that financed them in the first goddamn place. But most importantly, they were fighting to keep the Soviets from stopping other members of their very same division from killing Poles and Jews and communists and Roma and gay people in Ukraine. And this asswipe says he was fighting to stop the Russians for Ukrainian independence. Lies. That's an obscene lie. He should be run out of Canada on a fucking rail. He should be tarred and feathered for that. How many Canadians alive right now lost their parents or their mother or their father, not just in fucking camps, but also in the war to stop the fucking fascists, to stop the Germans? That guy was fighting for them. That guy may have indeed taken part in things like, I'm going to say this, I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly. I apologize if I get it wrong. This is one of the many atrocities that they know and have documented evidence of the 1st Galatian Division of the Waffen SS, the 14th Grenadier Division, which he belonged to at the time, committed. This is Hunka Penjeka. I'm sorry. But that's 1944. This dude joined in 1943. Waffen SS, 14th Grenadier, 1st Galatian Division. They killed 500 fucking Poles. Slaughtered them. I'll show you a picture. I'll show you a picture of a monument that exists right now in memory of those lost. 500 lost. And that's one. That motherfucker that they just gave a standing ovation in Canada may have indeed participated in that. I don't care if he's 98 years old or not. He should be put on trial, forced to show proof as to where he was. Was he fighting for Ukrainian independence against Russia? Or was he rounding up fucking Poles, lining them up in front of a goddamn trench and shooting them? This guy was a straight up fucking Nazi. Lies, damn lies, and Nazi revisionism. Let's go first through this. Deepest apologies. Canadian official backtracks after Ukraine Nazi honored. House Speaker Anthony Rota praised Yaroslav Hunka Burnin Nazi as a Ukrainian hero at Canada's Parliament, with Voldemort, and Justin Trudeau attending and applauding and giving him the up poor fist fucking symbol. We'll talk about that in a second. The Speaker of Canada's House of Commons has apologized for praising an individual who served in a Nazi unit during World War II. In a session attended by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and visiting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Speaker Anthony Rota recognized Yaroslav Hunka, 98, as a Ukrainian hero and Canadian hero, and we thank him for all his service before the Canadian Parliament on Friday. Hunka served in World War II as a member of the 14th Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS, specifically First Galatians. According to Friends of the Simon Wiesenthal Center, a Jewish human rights group, they demanded an apology. The center said Hunka's ties to Nazi war machine are well documented. Both Zelensky and Trudeau joined in acknowledging Hunka during the parliamentary session. Rota took responsibility for what he characterized as an oversight, calling the initiative entirely my own. It is so fucking well documented. It is so well documented. Of course, this was created yesterday, this wiki page. However, they got the images of this from a website celebrating First Galatians, in which they have a picture of this motherfucker online, and his name, and rank, and the time of service, and all of that. There is abso-fucking-lutely no possible... Now if you search his name, even just Google search, you'll have 17 pages of this event from Friday. However, before that, you could easily search the fucking website and find, now especially if you're a fucking researcher working for someone like, I don't know, the Speaker of the fucking House of Commons in Canadian Parliament. You have access to a whole range of services in which you can find people and very specific information about them. This was not a fucking accident. Not an accident. Right now, let's take a quick look at some images I pulled up. Here's the old guy. That's right before they started to, and someone took pictures of him because they knew what was coming. There he is, hanging out. He's 98 years old. We don't know if he was just fighting alongside fellow Nazis to help advance Adolf Hitler's fucking worldview, or whether or not he was one of the guys from First Galatians who lined up Polish men, women, and children alongside a ditch and shot them. He did one of those two fucking things. He did one of them. First Galatians they weren't replacing fucking tires on Jeeps. They weren't fixing the fucking Ford motor engines in the goddamn Nazi tanks. He was SS. He was doing one of them. Here he is. The old op poor fist. I'm surprised he didn't Zeke Heil. I'm absolutely surprised he didn't Zeke Heil. And there's the fist. He returns the fist salute. The Nazi puppet in Ukraine, there to beg for fucking money. Because he's promised American, European banking interests that he will fucking fight to the last goddamn Ukrainian. Whatever it takes. Important side note here. One of the demands, there were several, only 3, I think, to start off with, when Russia decided to come to the aid of the people of the Donbass region who were being bombed by that little prick with American fucking weapons, that we sent additional weapons in December before they started shelling and shelling and shelling until eventually Russia had to do something. But one of the things that they demanded, aside from the international community doing what the first fucking article in the UN Charter says, which is recognize when people have a legitimate claim to demand independence from a nation, like the people of Donbass had done. One of the things the Russians said was, you're going to denazify your country. We're not going to have a Nazi state right alongside Russia. Not after what we went through. And the people of the world will not fucking tolerate the rise of the Third Reich, trying to reclaim the Reich of 1,000 years. We're not going to do it. We're not going to tolerate it. You're not going to have it. So you're going to get the fucking Nazis out of your political system. You're going to get the fucking Nazis out of your military. I don't care if they're pumping gas. But they're not going to be in positions of power in your country. Here we are. There's your Oppour fist. It's fucking George Soros creation. It's a fucking State Department creation. It's a DIA creation. Look at the Oppour fist with the fucking vaccines. Vaccines work. Look at the Oppour fist with Stand With Ukraine. And of course, you know, there's a Nazi. Wonder how many Jewish people stood up and applauded that guy. Wonder how many fucking Poles did. There he is. That's the photograph that was online while they were doing research. The guy was, it's not like he was hiding his name. It's not like he was hiding his background. He didn't hide shit. He's been running around. They drag his old ass out of his retirement villa, the Nazi, and they hand him a fucking Ukrainian flag whenever there's a nearby fucking celebration of Nazism in fucking Ukraine. Out he goes. He's not hiding shit. This was not a damn accident. One of several photos on a blog by an SS Galician veterans group that shows Yaroslav Hunka Burnin Nazi, the Ukrainian immigrant honored by the Canadian Parliament during a visit by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Yaroslav Hunka is in the front middle row. That's him right there. That's him right there. That is him. A straight up, dyed-in-the-wool Nazi. Not somebody who voted the wrong way in 2020. Not somebody who doesn't support fucking Colorado football team. Not calling somebody a Nazi because they disagree with your take on fucking transgenderism. That's a real fucking Nazi. That's a real fucking Nazi. And this is what Canada does with real Nazis.
Today, even at his age of 98.
That's what Canada does now for real fucking Nazis. I cannot stress this enough. In a speech, this is true, in 1944, Hunka Burnin Nazi joined 1st Galatians in 1943, meaning he was there for this. Heinrich Himmler gave a speech to the 1st Galatians division, and I quote, "Your homeland has become so much more beautiful since you have lost, on our initiative, I must say, those residents who were so often a dirty blemish on Galatia's good name, namely the Jews. And I know that if I ordered you to liquidate the Poles, I would be giving you permission to do what you were eager to do anyway." That motherfucker was in the crowd applauding and cheering and Zeke Heiling that motherfucker when he said that. And this is what Canada does for him when he hits 98 years old. Am I driving this home yet? You want more evidence? That's Heinrich Himmler, 1944. That's 1st Galatian, 14th Grenadier Division. Somewhere in that crowd, oohing and eyeing over Heinrich Himmler, is Hunka Burnin Nazi. Would you like to see him again? That's him in the swearing-in ceremony. He's in that crowd. Again, 1st Galatians, 14th Grenadier, 1944. Would you like to see evidence of what he did? That's the monument I told you about. From the Pinaka, I can't pronounce that. From the Huda Pinaka, slaughter took place in 1944. That wasn't a fight. They weren't armed Poles fighting back against these people. These were men, women, and children. Maybe even 98-year-old men. Who this motherfucker's division, friends, buddies, brothers in arms, slaughtered and buried in mass graves, 1944. Again, I cannot stress this enough. This information was found out about him moments after this was broadcast. And that guy's researchers, the House Speaker of the House of the House of Commons in Canada, his researchers couldn't figure it out. Dude was running around in Canada, wheeled around in Canada, waving a fucking Ukrainian flag with a goddamn swastika on it. And they honored him. We should not be surprised. It's Victoria Nuland. Who's she standing with? She's standing with the fucking boxer. She's standing with the fucking accountant. And she's standing with Ole Tannenbach. Who is Ole Tannenbach? Ole Tannenbach runs a political fucking party. It's not just one side of the political divide in the United States. That, of course, is John McCain, and he is standing with Tennebach. Slabaka, whatever the fucking name of the political party is, that's what it is. Oleg Tennebach is an avowed Nazi. It's not a question. It's not a debate. It's not an argument. That's what he is. That's him with fucking John McCain before he passed. That's him with Victoria Nuland. Russia says you will get them out of your goddamn military and you will get them out of your politics. We are not going to have these fucking Nazis coming to power, rising to power, dreaming the big dreams of the Reich of 1,000 years on our goddamn board. And after the goddamn Nazis killed so many fucking Soviet Union citizens back then, I, for one, don't blame them. That's not, he just happened to be waving at somebody and his thumb kind of ended up in that position. That's literally him giving that fucking symbol. He is look him up, Oleg Tennebach. Slabinka. Zaboda. My fault. Zaboda. Look him up. He's a fucking Nazi. There's a lot of fucking Nazis in Ukraine. Sean Penn said, early in this fucking conflict, if we allow our Nazi partners, I added that, to fight alone, our soul as America is lost. That's a misanthropic division. That's a Azov battalion. That, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, is not somebody who voted for Trump. That is a legitimate fucking Nazi. Who dreams the big dream of ethnically cleansing Ukraine and seeing before he passes away the beginnings of the rise of the Third Reich, the Reich of 1,000 years. Sean Penn went over there and told us we have to stand with our Nazi partners. I disagree with Mr. Penn. This is not fucking... These guys are found on the... This shit is found on the battlefield. These guys are found and captured, dropping their weapons, after killing and attacking civilians, unarmed civilians. When they come up against the fucking Russians, they drop their weapons. And they take pictures of all their goddamn Nazi tattoos. And take pictures of their Nazi fucking paraphernalia. I'm going to finish this photo essay here with this. One of the first videos I did on this shit. When this broke out. I covered the Nazis in fucking Ukraine. You go back to my fucking website, go to my fucking Substack. I've got articles and shit that I wrote about this from 2014, even before 2014 on. This is not a new thing. We used the Nazis like we use proxy fucking armies in countries that we want to destabilize. We take these small militant groups like the Takfaris and Wahhabists, like the Contras, and we raise them up. That's what special, some versions, some people, some divisions, some groups in fucking special operations do. And they use them as proxy armies, terrorists. That's what we did with Nazis in Ukraine, because it served our purpose. So I covered this shit. So then, when this thing broke out, and I saw on NPR, them covering a heroic fucking mayor in some town in Ukraine, waving it around an American fucking gun, I had to fucking do a video on him. That's the goddamn mayor, called a hero. And they made sure to set the camera up during their interview with him on PBS so that his portrait of Stepan Bandera was over his right fucking shoulder. They were sending a fucking message. That wasn't an accident. Stepan Bandera was a goddamn Nazi. Dyed in the wool Nazi. He participated in the Polish genocide. And he helped organize the Ukrainian Holocaust. And that was within the first month of Russia saying, fuck it, we've had enough. We're going to come in and stop you from slaughtering the goddamn people in Donbass. Within the first month. And PBS broadcast that shit. Straight up Nazi mayor called a hero by public PBS, public broadcasting system. There's nothing new about this. We have been literally supporting fucking Nazis from the very beginning. This is after we did a regime change. This is right after we did the regime change. And making sure to pay homage to the fucking proxy army that we used to help bring about a regime change on behalf of the IMF and World Bank. They made sure to include Ole Tannenbach, a straight up fucking Nazi. So why should we be surprised by anything the Canadians do? Because the Canadians are just our bitches.
At his age of 98.
I'll post links to these. You can go and look at the atrocities that they committed. Here's the list. Here's the speech I read to you. It's not made up. There's the fucking link. You can find it yourself. There's a link to it. You can find it yourself. And, of course, his time service. As you can see, he was from 1943 to 1945 in that fucking branch. 1st Galatians, 14th Grenadier, Waffen SS. So what I told you and what I showed you from that very specific time frame is absolutely true. That man should not be applauded. He should be tried for war crimes at the age of 98. He should be forced to be arrested, to be perp walked, to be handcuffed behind his back. I don't care how old he is. And tried for his fucking, and every other goddamn member. Now, some will argue that 1st Galatians was large. 14th Grenadier was even larger, but 1st Galatians was a large fucking group of Nazis. But not all participated in the fucking atrocities against the Poles, against Jews, against the Ukrainian genocide, the Polish fucking, the Polish genocide, the Ukrainian fucking Holocaust. Not all of them participated. Some were fighting against the Russians for independence. They weren't fighting for independence. They were fucking there with Heinrich Himmler was not there to help Ukraine become its own independent state. Himmler was there to take the Nazis and train them so that they could help bring about the Reich of 1,000 years. Do you understand my words? The words coming out of my goddamn mouth. Can you hear them? Good. Himmler's not there to help a country gain independence and then say, you know what, Adolf, we're not buying that part of it. We just want, no commies. So we're going to be independent. That's not how it worked. That's not how the fucking Nazis worked. Aside from the fact that they were slaughtering Poles and Jews and Roma and all these people in fucking Ukraine, ethnically cleansing Ukraine. That's not how fucking Himmler worked. So it doesn't really matter if he was part of them who were fighting the fucking Soviets when the Soviets were fighting alongside, I don't know, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my great-uncles. It doesn't matter that he was fighting on the side of Adolf Hitler or whether he was fucking slaughtering and shooting fucking Polish people and Jewish people and dumping their bodies into fucking pits. Doesn't matter. Either way, it's a war criminal. And he should be he's 98 years old. He's 98 years old. And I guarantee you the individual today, he's probably not having a good time wherever he is. And I certainly don't call on people to fucking abuse him or send more abuse his way. He's probably getting more than enough of that himself. I just wanted to point something out to you that I think is extremely appropriate. And we forget this far too often. There was a German liner named the MS St. Louis that carried 907 Jewish Germans fleeing the Nazis in 1939. I talked about the genocide that was taking place and the Holocaust that was taking place in a video a couple of days ago. They were turned away by the Canadians in 1939. They were fleeing the Nazis in 1939 who were rounding them up, putting them in ghettos, and then sending them to work camps, or if they weren't capable of fucking working, exterminating them. And Canada turned them away, sent them down to the United States, where we did what? We also turned them away. Thanks to Aunt Bibi, I told you I'd mention her again. She posted this, talking about this fucking situation. Thank you, Aunt Bibi. And in this article that she posted, I found this. This is from the National Post. And this talks about a little bit about the Waffen SS Galicia Division. Quote, the Waffen SS Galicia Division surrendered to the British Army in 1945. Just over 8,000 men were moved to the United Kingdom in 1947. In 1950, the federal cabinet decided to allow, the federal cabinet of Canada decided to allow Ukrainians living in the UK to come to Canada, quote, notwithstanding their service in the German army, provided they are otherwise admissible. These Ukrainians should be subject to special security screening, but not rejected on the grounds of their service in the German army. 600 former members of the Waffen SS Galicia Division living in Canada at the time. 600. 1939 Canada rejects 900 Jews mainly and others who were fleeing concentration camps and firing lines in Nazi Germany. And then 11 years later, they allowed the people who ran some of those fucking concentration camps and participated in some of those firing squads to freely move into fucking Canada. Including one dude who was part of that fucking group, who had signed up in 1943, and who, by the way, enjoyed this moment 3 days ago in the Canadian Parliament. This is by no means a mistake. By no means is this a mistake. Somebody is sending the message. Somebody is trying to instigate more conflict. Somebody is trying to undermine Voldemort Zelensky. Someone's trying to undermine Canadian Parliament, giving them more money. Something's going on with this fucking quote-unquote mistake. If this were 1999, maybe you could say this was no, the internet was probably already to the point where this couldn't have happened. Let's say 1989, maybe 89. This could have been a mistake, chalked up to oops. This is not an oops moment. When it comes to lies, there are lies, there are damn lies, and there's Nazi revisionism. There's a series, The Man in the Tower, what the fuck is that movie? It's a TV show. It's a series on one of those things. The Man in the Tower, something like that. It is a fictional alternate history story about, I guess, life in the 50s if the Nazis had won. Life in the 50s in the United States and London if the Nazis had won. And I think the Nazis... And I think it was the Nazis and the Japanese, and they divided fucking the country, United States. And I can't remember the Japanese. I guess the Japanese got California, and the Nazis were in fucking the East Coast, and the Japanese got the West Coast. Whatever the case may be, that's not fucking revisionist history. It's not. Fucking fascist in this country, holding fucking rallies in Madison Square Garden, by the way, 1937, 38, 39, while they were turning that fucking boat away and sending them back to be killed in concentration camps in Germany. We had those Nazi fucking rallies in the United States, the most famous of which took place in fucking Madison Square Garden. Look that shit the fuck up. Proud fucking moment. But you know, we financed the rise of the Nazi Party. We financed Hitler. He was a puppet. He was a big fan of Henry Ford. There's a, what's that fucking TV show? There's an animated TV show on Fox. Some big fat dude and his family. And they do these little quips, these little jokes out of nowhere. And they got Henry Ford sitting there with his first fucking Model T Ford or whatever the fuck it was, the first fucking gas-powered car. And they go, wow, what is this? Yeah, this is my brand new Jew smashing machine. He said, yeah, but okay, if you don't want to smash Jews, could you like use it to go from point to point? He goes, yeah, fine, sure. And you could use the Mona Lisa as a placemat. And he got mad and left. Henry Ford was a fucking atrocious anti-Semite and a big-time supporter of eugenics and, of course, the Nazis. We are a fascist fucking nation. Surprise! You didn't see that coming, did you? And so, of course, early in the fucking program, we had early in the program we had to let people know exactly what we were doing. And here we are now, again, this time in Canada, letting people know exactly what we're doing. It is not enough to say, oopsie, when a guy who has well-documented ties to a division of fucking Waffen SS that committed atrocities and fought for Adolf Hitler and Heinrich Himmler is honored in the Canadian Parliament. It's not enough to say, oopsie, sorry. And it is certainly not enough. It is certainly not enough to allow that motherfucker, the same motherfucker who did it, by the way, the Speaker of the fucking House of Commons, to stand up there and go, he fought against the Russians. And he supports Ukraine fighting against the Russians now for an independent Ukraine. Ukraine was not independent then. They served the interest of Adolf Hitler. And Ukraine is not independent now. They serve the interest of the IMF, of the World Bank, of Visa, of DIIA, of fucking Victoria Nuland, Samantha Power, Joe Biden, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. They're not independent. They're no more independent now than they were then. And in fact, 2014, when they decided on their own they would be independent and chart their own course and say no to a fucking neoliberal IMF fucking loan that would lock their people into debt servitude for another decade, they said, you know what? We're going to go with somebody else. We'll go with plan B over here. So we regime changed him in a bloody regime change using fucking Nazis. Lies, damn lies, Nazi revisionism. I don't know what the overall fucking point of that was. Maybe to send a message to the fucking Russians. Here's the message. We could literally make a life-size statue of the diminutive fucking Adolf Hitler and stand it up in the gallery at the fucking Canadian Parliament, and we could get our dumb motherfucking Canadians to applaud it, to give it a standing ovation. Because it's not as if they are trying to hide the fact that they are straight up fucking fascists. They haven't from the beginning, when they brought them along for the photo ops, and they don't do it now. Is this gaslighting? Are they trying to normalize? To get the idea, well, yeah, I guess we are kind of Nazis. And yeah, my great-granddad, he died and suffered. And yeah, my grandmother was put in a fucking concentration camp and killed. But we're Nazis. Better dead than red. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I wish I could tell you. But I can tell you this. It wasn't a goddamn accident. It wasn't a goddamn mistake. And it's not being taken seriously enough. Not by our media, and certainly not in the alt media. Because let's face it, there are a lot of fucking Nazis in our alt media. And again, I'm not talking about people who voted the wrong way or who don't see the transgender issue the same way as everybody. No. There are straight up fucking Nazis in Ukraine. There are straight up fucking Nazis in fucking Canada. And there are straight up fucking Nazis in the alt media in this country. They might call themselves something else. They might not like that association. They might not openly Zeke Heil each other when they're walking down the fucking street. But you take my fucking word for it. When it comes time to get fitted for the brown shirts, they are on fucking board. Thank you for your time.